How's everybody doing? John Perrotta here with Mike Cronin, otherwise known as the bad boy of comedy.
That was many years ago.
Yes, been trying tell you my last 2 weeks. Figured it was easy. A lot of comics are doing it. The pandemic's on. I'll go on Zoom and go to Facebook Live and go on with a few comics, every week and have some fun. And I've been through 2 weeks of insanity. My internet, I guess, I got a new what do you call it? Gigablast. That's the best internet you can get from Cox Cable. I got that, the modem, and then I still was having trouble. Then I got a new laptop. I figured I'm all set. Went live with that. Still had trouble after 3-4 minutes. Cut out. Called Cox today. They went on, and I guess my internet is intermittent. It's kind of coming on and going off, and it's throwing me off the Zoom after 3-4-5 minutes. So we're recording this, and then we'll put it on Facebook after, and it's insane. But Cox Cable's coming again Saturday to check the wire outside and the connections, and the modem could be defective. The pandemic is crazy. I'm trying to do something to keep myself sane, and it's made me more crazy. It's you know what I mean? My therapist calls me twice a week. Now he's calling me 3 times a week because this has been 2 weeks of nutty stuff. But Mike Cronin, who in the 90s, I met him at Periwinkle's Comedy Club, which we love to perform at. I met him. I started there around 91. I met you in 91, 92. And he got off stage. He did really well. I went up to him, gave him my card. I had started booking an open mic. And Mike came over. We had this open mic show at the Great Imposter, which was a great room in Warwick, Rhode Island. We were doing shows every Saturday. I remember we did one show there. Tom Carter and Bob Marley went up back to back.
Yeah.
Imagine that today to try to get those two on one show. Tom Carter, Bob Marley back to back. Bill Burr, all these. It was a great room. We had a lot of newer comics. The room was so hot. We used to fill it on Saturday night. $5 we would charge.
Yeah.
And a lot of comics would stop in. Ed Virgin and Charlie Hall and a lot of the bigger guys at the time. They would stop in because the word got around. It was a great room.
Mm.
We had no clue what we were doing. Tim Sullivan and I were running the room. We didn't know what we were doing, but we filled it. We had a great time. And Mike used to get up, and he had long hair back then.
Yeah.
I don't know who gave you the nickname, the bad boy of comedy? Did you dub yourself that back then, or did I give it? I don't remember.
I came up with that stage persona. My hair was short.
Short.
And then I really grew it. I grew it really long. It was halfway down my back.
Oh, yeah.
And then I came up with that whole stage persona, the tux-tail jacket, the black and white striped pants with the Chuck Taylor sneakers, a cartoon shirt underneath on it, like Simpsons or Mickey Mouse, and I look more like the front man for like Van Halen than I did a stand-up. That was for sure, and it took off, man. It just took off, and
you were doing phenomenal. We didn't know what we were doing, but we were having fun, and we were coming up and just starting out. It was early 90s, and we had a lot of fun. Mike and I did some bachelor parties together there was a lot of bachelor parties in Rhode Island where they wanted comedians. And I always like to tell the story, Mike. We used to drink a lot back then.
Yes.
Early 90s, and one bachelor party I did, I went up first, and Mike was at the bar. He was drinking shots of
Goldschlager.
He's drinking shots.
And it just came out. I'll never forget it.
It just came out. I didn't know anything about that drink. I didn't touch it. I did my time. I introduced Mike Cronin, the bad boy of comedy. He comes up on stage, couldn't even talk. And the guy that hired us, he was out of his mind. Brian Derry had booked it. He used to run Funny Farm Comedy in Rhode Island, and he called Brian Derry. He was all upset and everything.
Oh, man.
It was crazy. I never forgot it. I've done a lot of bachelor parties, but that's one I didn't forget.
I'll never forget either, man. Me and California George. We get there and we sit downstairs and we're gonna have a beer. No big deal. And the bartender says to us, "Hey, there's this new stuff out called Goldschlager. It's got gold flecks in it. Want to try it?" Absolutely. So, true to being 100% Irish, I didn't try just one. I tried probably 10.
Oh my God.
Annihilated.
Oh,
I'll
it was
never
bad.
forget it. I'll
Yeah,
never forget it.
we had a lot of fun, a lot of crazy gigs in the '90s. We used to be together a
Yes.
lot. We
Yes.
between Periwinkles until they closed, which that was a shame because that was such a fun club, Periwinkles, when it was on top of the keg, where the keg room, the recess pub was up
Right.
there. It was a big room, and you used to get good crowds and everything. I don't know, but I
It
guess the
was.
comedy boom was over from the '80s, and I guess the owner wasn't making what he wanted to make, and he wanted to close it. Which I was just getting in the door there. I had opened for Frank Santos, the hypnotist, a couple of times, which when you got that was pretty good, you know. And then I also was going to host a weekend, which I was all excited. It's the first weekend as a host on a Friday and a Saturday, and then they closed, and that was the end of that. That was after the great Periwinkles closed, the Great Imposter closed, the Brass Rail and Seekonk, Frank Santos and somebody else used to run that, and I got a guest spot over there. I was excited about that, and they closed before I did the spot, and I did Catch a Rising Star in Cambridge. I did a spot over there. Brian Kiley hosted the show. He's like a writer on, I don't know if it's Conan or Tonight Show or something. He's like a writer. He was a funny guy, and he hosted and Catch a Rising Star, and then they closed. And then I did Stitches in Boston, open mic. Vinny Favorito was emceeing it, and I did that a few times, and then they closed. So it was like every club I did. I don't know if I was that bad then. They closed. They closed. I was closing them up, Mikey.
That's a funny story, man. You know, like I've said to you many times in private conversations, it was through meeting you and our friendship that when I met you, I probably had maybe 3 minutes of material when I met you. And that was a roll of the dice, you know, because there were many Wednesday nights at Periwinkles where it didn't go well. But by the grace of God, that night that I met you, I did have a good, strong 3 minutes. And then in meeting you, I went from 3 minutes to 2 minutes. I mean, 3 minutes to 5 minutes, 5 minutes to seven, seven to like 10, 10 to 12. And I just slowly kept building it. And then probably after like maybe a 2-year period, I had a strong 45, and that was all because of you. All because of you.
You built up the material. I mean, I didn't. I just got the stage time for us. That's all I did.
Right, you did, but it was you believing in me and giving me that stage time. I can remember my mom and dad used to follow where I was going to be in the What's Happening section of the Providence Journal.
I used to write that.
There were weeks where I was I was doing like 3-4 shows a week with you, sometimes 5. I mean, I was just busy. And you were faithful, loyal. You believed in me. You gave me the stage time, and man, we were off and running. And running. Lot of fun.
I know Periwinkles Wednesday night open mic. Frank O'Donnell hosted it, and that place used to be crowded. Wednesday night open mic was exciting. It was. I remember I was doing comedy a couple of months, and I got in one of the weekly contests, and I won my week. And I got in the finals for funniest comic in Rhode Island, and Eddie Galvin won in a landslide. I came in second, I was really like, wow, that's pretty cool. It was like 10 comics. I came in second. Then I kind of knew maybe I can do this. You know what I mean? When I started seeing results, you know what I mean? Because I had done comedy, I don't know if you remember, in '83, I got up at Periwinkles Comedy Club. It was in the arcade in Providence. I got up once and did really well. Charlie Hall was there, Dave Kane, and Frank O'Donnell. And then I went up 2 more times and bombed horribly. And I stopped for 8 years. And then I remember I went to the Comedy Connection, And Jonathan Katz, this big comic from Boston, was there. He was hilarious. And I'm sitting there thinking, I gotta try this again, you know. And I took Frank O'Donnell's class at the Learning Connection in Providence. And 20 students, I remember getting on stage. I did really well. And then I went to the Bonneview in Narragansett. Like a couple of weeks later, Brian Deary booked me to host a show. It was packed. I think it was the night before Columbus Day. Never forget it. I had some family there, friends. Figured I'm going to do well like I did the first time. I got up. You could hear a pin drop for 10 minutes.
Wow.
Same material.
Yeah.
Nothing. And I was at a turning point there because I said, this is what happened before. I did well and I bombed. And I had read a couple of comedy books, and it said you gotta fail before you get better. You're gonna have some rough patches, you know what I mean? And I definitely had my rough patches before I got consistently decent, where I was funny consistently. I had some rough patches, like we all do, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I remember when we met, Periwinkles was still in the arcade. And prior to that, I answered an ad in the Providence Journal Bulletin about doing stand-up. So I answered it and called and showed up, and it was Steve Cato. Steve Cato of the Cato and Morin fame.
Right.
And in that little troupe that we had was Joe Cabral was there, Steven, myself, and others that I don't even remember who they were. And then Steven had ties to the New Farm Supper Club. And he would get
I remember doing a set there. I don't know who it was for, but I remember doing a set there. The New Farm Supper Club.
It could have been him. He would get us up on a Monday night. And at that stage, I was like I was 21, 22 years old. I couldn't even spell stand up. I couldn't even spell it. I was just a guy that had been funny my whole life, making my classmates laugh and all of that. And then when I gave it a shot with him, I didn't really understand what I was doing at all. However, when I met you, different story. That's when I took it serious, started watching other comics, studying other comics. In fact, I remember one night at Periwinkles in the arcade. Remember Sean Sennett, the kid with the red hair?
Oh, yeah. Who could forget Sean Sennett if you knew him?
He was up on stage telling a joke, and Joe Rogan was there. And Joe Rogan had just left. So Joe Rogan, if you remember, they used to take those big white pylon things with the black cloth stretched out to make the walls into the corridors of the arcade. Sean was up on stage delivering a joke. Joe Rogan's listening. He sticks his head through and says, dude, deliver it like this. And Sean Sennett's about to give him a hard time. And he's like, dude, bro, I'm not giving you a hard time. I'm telling you, do the joke over, say it like this, they'll laugh. And all you can see is Joe Rogan's head through that little curtain. Sean Sennett redid the joke, said it like him, everyone laughed. Joe Rogan looks at him and goes, told you, and he left. I'll never forget it. Never forget it. It was so funny. So funny.
I'll never forget Sean Sennett. He was crazy. He's crazy.
Remember the night you put him up at the Great Imposter and Joe Cabral took him off the stage?
I remember putting Sean Sennett up at the Great Imposter. This was an ugly story. He got up there, and this was shortly after Rodney King.
Yes.
And the last thing you do, something like that happens, you don't make a joke about the Rodney King incident. If you remember back in the 90s when that happened, I think the police beat him up, whatever happened. Back then, the cops got in trouble, I guess. And well, I don't remember all the details, but I know it was bad, Rodney King. And I remember Sean Sennett going on stage, and he had a doll. It was an African-American doll, and he started hitting it.
Yeah.
Table of African-Americans in the front, and they all were horrified. They got up and left. And I'm like, I think that's when Joe Cabral probably got him off the stage, because what is he? You're nuts. Can't do stuff like that.
Right. Joe Cabral was not having it. He got up, took him right off the stage.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't remember that, but I remember him doing that bit, and it was ugly. And I remember the people leaving, and it was just, that was probably one of the ugliest things in my whole comedy career that I saw. That was that was really, really bad. You know, when Senate's out there, you're listening, that wasn't a good move, John.
I haven't seen him. You can see my bike in the background, like the lime green yellow one there. I had a 1974 Lincoln Mark IV, that color, and I sold it to him. I remember we worked together in a room up in Smithfield in the Appleby Plaza there.
Yeah.
I think Dave DiLorenzo had the room.
Oh yeah, yeah, I did that room too. Yeah, and matter of fact, there was a comic from Boston. He died of cancer. He was a really funny guy, Dave Fitzgerald. I performed there in the show, and Dave Fitzgerald was in it, and I forget who else, but I remember DiLorenzo booked it. Yeah, I remember that police.
Nice. I sold him the Lincoln, and off he went. Off he went, man. I took my plates off it. He drove it down. He left no plates, nothing. Just drove off with it.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I miss Dave DiLorenzo. He was it's been about probably 2 or 3 months, well, 3 months maybe now. And I keep in touch with his girlfriend Marion, and that was tough. Dave left us too young. I don't know, he was about 60-ish. But Dave was a great comic in this area for a long time, and that was tough. Story about Dave DiLorenzo. We're doing the Great Imposter, early '90s, and my mother and father came to a show, and Dave DiLorenzo went over, was talking to my mom, and then my mom calls me over. I guess Dave's mom and my mom were some kind of cousins, and his mom worked at the Welcome Restaurant in Providence, and my mother said, "You guys are some kind of cousins." So after that, DiLorenzo, we always call me my cousin. I call my cousin. I don't know, maybe we were 10th cousins. I don't know what, second, 10th. I don't know, but it was cool. You know, he was a good guy. We did a lot of stuff with him, and a lot of bachelor parties with Dave, a lot of shows, and you know, I mean, some comics say, "Oh, bachelor parties." I tell you what, I learned my crowd work, which is the main part of my act. You know, and I learned that working a crowd at a bachelor party, because they don't want to hear a joke. You could be, I don't know about Jerry Seinfeld probably would have done it, but you could be a top comic. You're at a bachelor party telling jokes, and most of the time, they didn't go. But if you started working the crowd, I noticed the laughs were much bigger. But one bachelor party I'll never forget, I was at the Edgewood Yacht Club in what was it, Cranston, and I remember there was this giant biker, this big biker, and I was kind of busting the crowd up, and this biker comes over to me. I don't know how tall he was. I was 250 at the time. He was huge. He literally picked me up. He had me in the air, and the window was right there. The water was out the window. He was going to throw me out the window, and I can't swim. So I'm up in the air. I'm up in the air with the mic, thinking to myself, "This could be it. This could be it. I'm going to die at a bachelor party. You know, not die on stage, but literally get thrown into the water and drowned." You know what I mean? But then he put me down, and he was laughing, and everybody. That was one time where the joke was on me. You had all the bikers, they were all laughing, and I kept up with my act and finished it, and I got out of there, and I saw the guy like 3 or 4 times since then. He's from the area, and I never forgot. I see him. How you doing? But I walk away. I'm afraid this guy's gonna throw me in Scarborough, the ocean, or Narragansett.
Exactly.
He's crazy.
I, like you, through the amount of bachelor parties that I got, I was able to develop good crowd work with the crowd, quick on your feet, come back and forth. And Claudia, remember Claudia, the assistant manager at the Comedy Connection?
Yeah.
She gave me a ton of work, I was getting bachelor parties like in the bachelor party season. I was getting like 1 or 2 a week, and for good money too. I was getting $250, $300 going out, and then from there, I was starting to get referrals from bachelor parties that I did. I'll never forget, man. I did this one bachelor party at the 1025 Club. So a year later, I get a referral from them. go back, and I'm up on stage going through my set, and I said, "Hey, where's so-and-so?" The guy I did the bachelor party a year before. They yell back, "He got divorced." I'm like, "You gotta be kidding me." Didn't even last a year. They got divorced. Unbelievable.
I run into guys here and there. I did that bachelor party. It's probably 50-50. Half of them got divorced, you know. So you're still married? No, it's not married. Yeah, they were fun. And how I got so big was at the bachelor. I'd eat supper at home. I'd go to the bachelor party 2 hours later. They'd have a buffet. Help yourself. I'd eat, and then on the way home, a couple hours later, I get hot wieners in Orneville, New York system. That's how I got big. I've lost about 50 pounds, thank God. I want to lose another 50, but at one point I was like huge. I was like 355 at one point.
Wow.
I was a maniac. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I'm like 100 pounds less than that now.
You're looking good, Johnny P. You're looking good. Here's another funny bachelor party story. I used to get a lot of referrals from the Providence Police Department, Cranston Police Department, Brown State Police, and I had done a bachelor party for a Cranston cop getting married at Angel's. Remember Angel's Restaurant?
Angels. Yeah, Dave DiLorenzo's cousin. We used to do some shows there. We did some stuff there.
Dave's room. I did a lot of bachelor parties there. So I had done this guy's bachelor party. So like a year later, I get another referral to go back there. Another Cranston cop. My set goes well. We're done. We're out at the bar. I'm having a couple of beers with the guys.
You?
Yeah. The heck was I thinking, right? The heck was I thinking?
They're crazy.
You know, my hair's coming down to like, I can't even point how long my hair was.
Oh, you had long ears.
All of a sudden, John, I feel this tap on my shoulder. I turn around. It's the cop that I did the bachelor party for the year before. And he's working. He's in full uniform. And he looks at me all serious and he says, "We had a call, a complaint about a foul-mouthed comic here tonight. Turn around, please." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Turn around." He turns me around. He puts handcuffs on me.
No way.
Puts handcuffs on me, walks me out into his cruiser. Now, all the guys, they're all in on this. They're coming out with him. They're all laughing. He throws me in the back of the cruiser. As he goes to pull it down into
I never heard this story.
He looks, turns around, looks at me, goes, "I told you I'd get you back. How you been?" I'm like, "I've been good. I've been good." We go flying out of Angels through like the Silver Lake section there, and he drives me down to Cranston Street, right over the Providence line. We pull up right next to a Providence cop car, a cruiser.
You serious?
I'm telling you, Johnny P. I'm not exaggerating one bit of this.
I never heard this is a crazy story.
So we pull up next to the Providence cop car, and the Cranston cop says, "This is the guy I was telling you about. No one does a better bachelor party than him." I'm like,
"You were still in the handcuffs?"
Yeah, I'm still in the handcuffs. I'm like, "This is how you send a referral?" I said, "I appreciate it.
Just give him my card next time."
Right. Just give him my phone number. So we booked that. I booked that. I give the guy my number. This guy still doesn't take the handcuffs off me. So now I'm not in a seatbelt. We go flying out of that parking lot back. I'm bouncing around the back like a pinball machine.
Jeez.
We get back there. All the guys come back out, and I remember there was a lieutenant. A lieutenant was there. He opened up the door, and he says to me, he goes, "Mike, you have earned the right to speed in Cranston anytime you want. You're a good sport. You can dish it out and you can take it. Take me out. They take the handcuffs off, go back in, have some more beers with them. I'll never forget it. Never forget it."
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember doing a bachelor party with a bunch of state troopers, and I was picking on one that I didn't realize who he was. It was Colonel Stephen Parry, who's now Providence.
He's the big guy down there.
Yeah, he's under the mayor. He's I forget the title he is. He's in Providence, in charge of all the fire department.
He's
and
Director of Public Safety, isn't he?
Director of Public Safety. Well, he was at this bachelor party. He was the colonel, the head of the state police at the time, but I didn't know who he was. So I'm picking on him, and they're all like, all the state troopers are like, "Oh my God." They were laughing. They had to laugh because I said something, and I realized after who he was. I was like, "Oh man." I got to be nuts, you know.
I did another bachelor party at the 1025 Club for the Providence Police Department. It was a referral. I can't think of this guy's name. This guy was huge. This guy was like, he was built like he ate barbells for breakfast. And he was sitting right near me, and I'm going at him. 1, 2, 3. And then I'd move off him, move around the room, come back. 1, hitting him hard. Everyone's laughing. They're laughing really hard. All of a sudden, John, this guy gets up and he takes a pitcher of beer and he pours it right over my head. Right over my head. So now I am drenched.
Oh my
So
God.
I don't stop. There's a pitcher of beer at like a table or two near me. So I just reach and grab it. I go to get it, grab it. I come back on stage and I'm holding it over him. And a little bit's coming out. Just a little bit. And he's shaking. He's so mad. So finally, I'll never forget it. I went, gentlemen, please do not be alarmed. This is the direct result of what happens when you're on steroids and you have a roid rage. And I looked at the guy. I said, what am I? 5'7", 140 pounds, all soaking wet. And thanks to you, I am soaking wet. Yo, what? 6'3", 350 pounds, eating barbells for breakfast? You want to beat me up? Please, we're all here to have fun. And that seemed to snap him too. Calm down. He buys me a pitcher of beer. I finish my set. Now, after my set, he's my best friend. This is before cell phones. He takes me over the payphone. I got to have my wife talk to you. He gets his wife on the phone. Babe, this guy's hilarious. I'll never forget it. Pour the whole pitcher of beer right over my head. Like you with that guy lifting you up. That night I said to myself, man, I may have gone a little too far with this one. I could be in trouble here.
Well, I'd say I've been doing it 29 years. I can't wait to hit the stage again, but 29 years. And I know the first probably half of that when I did crowd work here and there, they got a little, I remember one guy, I was goofing with some guy in Narragansett at a house party outside. And I was having fun with this older guy. He was loving it. And his son was next to him, and he said, don't pick on my father. I'm like, he was into it, you know, it was going well. So, I mean, a few times, I remember here and there, people would be somewhere along the way. I got better at crowd work where I might have offended people a little bit here and there, but I got so fast that if I picked on one guy here and then I'd be over here and over there. So I moved around fast. If a guy was a good sport and into it, I go back to him a lot, but I got better with the crowd work. But the first probably 10, 15 years I had here and there, I had some hairy experiences,
right.
bro. You know, so
you never know how they're going to react. I remember when I did a show for you, I forget where it was. I want to say it was almost like in either Pawtucket or Cumberland. I forget where. But my set's going along good, and there was a guy sitting there that looked just like Jeffrey Dahmer. So I said it. And then after the show, taps me on the shoulder very politely. He wasn't yelling, wasn't swearing, but he was mad. Said, I did not appreciate the Jeffrey Dahmer joke. That was not funny. I'm like, I didn't mean any offense by it. You look like him, and I just called attention to it. He did not like it. He was not having it at all.
Well, there's always gonna be somebody in the crowd where you say something I'll never forget it. Like I do a bit about my ex-wife. I say she was epileptic and I have asthma. It's this funny bit. And it always goes over well. This is the only time in 29 years that I did it, how long I've been doing it. This guy comes up to me after the show. He said, you were funny, but I didn't like the epileptic bit because my daughter's epileptic. And I was like, I felt bad. But it's a joke. You know what I mean? It's a joke, you know. But I'll never forget that guy coming up to me saying that, you know. There's always going to be something you say, you hit him the wrong way.
Right. And it's hard to tell, you know, when we're up there, especially when you have the room and you feel that energy. So you know you've got them. They're staying with you A to Z. They're laughing at everything you're saying. You're feeling good. They're feeling good. And you hit something, everyone's laughing, but little do we know that offends. I know you've heard this story. I don't know if you booked that room or if it was Dave Lorenzo. We were at Memories in Johnston.
I think Dave did that.
and Eddie Galvin closed it. I went on before Eddie, did my set. Eddie got up, went through his set. He had a good set. He had an excellent set. Very funny. He was going at some older women that was sitting up front. They were together. They didn't have dates, and he was going after them left and right. Everyone's laughing. Everyone's having a good time. And if you remember Memories, that was kind of like a cool Rhode Island's version of the Copacabana. It had the stage.
It was a nice place. It was a nice place.
And then you went out of the room and down that long hallway, and that was the dressing room. And it was nice. It was really nice.
The band Reminisce used to play there a lot. They were a popular,
exactly right.
band, yeah.
So I'm standing out in front of that door, and these two older women approached me. And they said, hey, we'd like to meet the comic that went on last, the headliner. Oh, sure, absolutely. Let me get him. So I go, hey, Eddie, these two women want to meet you out front. So Eddie comes out, sticks his hand out to shake him, and this woman hauled off and Bruce Lee'd his man package and dropped him.
I remember. I was there that night.
Were you there that night?
Yeah, I was there. That was bad. Yeah.
Dropped him into a fetal position. I could not believe it.
That was crazy.
I was standing right there. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, that lady was nuts.
That was nuts.
Yeah, it's a lot of crazy things happen in comedy. You know what I mean?
Right, and that's a good example of that night. Eddie's having a good set. Everyone's having fun with him. He's cruising right through. He does his 45 minutes. Everyone's happy. Not that lady. She wasn't happy.
Yeah, there's always, like I say, there's gonna be somebody. You can't please everybody. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You're gonna have the greatest set, and you're not gonna please everybody. You know?
Yep.
And so you wound up. We did Old McDonald's Chicken Farm back in the 90s, and that's where I had Bill Burr host a couple of shows. I thought he was a funny kid. I said, Bill, you want to host Old McDonald's Chicken Farm? And we had Bob Marley there, and Tom Carter, and Edward Jean, and Bill Burr. We had some good comics going there, great comics. And I remember I booked you to headline. Tell that story. Man. That wasn't a good one, huh?
You call me up, bad boy. I need you at the chicken farm to close. I'm like, John, that's not my people. That's not my demographic. I don't want to upset anybody. And you were persistent. No, they want you. They want your energy. So I said, okay, let's do this. Seat that room, younger people up front, older people to the back, and we'll be okay. And I'll never forget, I got there, and I thought it was a bingo night. It was an older crowd, a very older crowd. I got to do 45 minutes, and that was probably one of the longer 45 minutes of my life. Because I don't want to offend them, for the stage name that I used, that whole persona. I mean, I didn't tell mean-spirited dirty jokes, but those jokes were dirty. They weren't clean.
You didn't go over well that night.
I tanked hard.
Yeah. So you were known as the bad boy of comedy then, and then eventually, because we got to wrap it up here soon. Eventually, you got into Christian comedy. And you got a company. What's the name of your company?
Yes. What had happened? My dear friend, Pastor Mike Caparelli, said to me about 10 years ago. He said, the gift you have to make people laugh is not yours. It's God's, and God gave it to you. Wait till you feel what it's like coming out of your mouth for the glory of God. And that got me thinking. Then I switched gears. And then I started doing all squeaky clean Christian comedy. We did a few shows at Sacred Exchange. And the last one that we did at Sacred Exchange, Funny for Funds, we went under the Funny for Funds banner. Mike Murray, God bless him, let us do that. He wouldn't take a penny. He said, I don't want any money. I just use it. So that show was myself, Nick Albanese made an appearance, Mike Murray, Rhonda Corey, and Mary Ellen closed it.
That's a great show.
Dude, great night. Great night.
Yeah.
We had over 150 people in that sanctuary. They gave Mike Murray a standing ovation. They gave Rhonda a standing ovation. They gave Mary Ellen a standing ovation. It was just a great night. We raised $8,485. So that's a Friday.
Yeah.
Like Monday or Tuesday, Mary Ellen calls me up and we're recapping the show, how much fun it was and that. So she brings up Tommy Moran. And I said, I remember him from Cato and Moran. I told her the whole backstory, how I knew Stephen very well. Well, like the next day, I get a phone call from 617. I have 872 contacts on my cell phone. If it don't come through John Perrotta or my son's name, I'm not taking the call, but I answer it. And it's Tommy Moran. And we've been talking every day ever since. And we opened up a Christian comedy outreach ministry. You can visit us online at our website called laughterandhope.com.
Wow, that's great. And I did 2 benefits last year for churches. So I mean, I can clean it up. I mean, I'm not really, I don't consider myself a dirty comic. I'm kind of in the middle. I can go to a bachelor party and get a little more risque, or I can do a church benefit and clean it up. I found early on I was dirty, and I eventually saw if you stay in the middle, you're going to get more work. Because I remember doing a few years ago, I did a rehearsal then in Narragansett. It's a really nice restaurant. I remember there were kids there, there were older people. I said, how am I going to do this? And I remember I don't know how, I did a great job, I had a great set. The guy was so happy, he gave me $100 tip. I was like, wow, I was thrilled, So when you can clean it up, if you have to, or you can get more risque, if you're able to go, you know what I mean, where you got to go, I think you'll get more work. You know what I mean? You get more work, parties and.
Do you remember? I know you remember this. I hired you to do my friend Mark Pasillo's 50th birthday party at the Victory Bar and Cigar. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
And Monsignor Rocco was sitting right there. He had the Roman Catholic collar on. You kept on saying to me, "That boy, I love you, but we're gonna talk later." It was so funny. You had a great set, and there were kids there. That was a mixed crowd of people. You had a phenomenal set that night.
I think you're better off if you can clean it up, or like I said, if you're in the middle, you can kind of split what way you got to go. But we got to wrap it up, Mike. I'm trying to go online a little bit to connect to the comedy, because the pandemic has been rough. We're used to getting on stage, and right now we're not. So a lot of comics are doing Zoom and going on and talking, and I figured let me do this. And you're the first guy. I've tried it the last 2 weeks. We tried it once, but my internet, I don't know what's going on, but I get cut off after 3 or 4 minutes. So now we're doing this, and hopefully this will work out until I get this problem figured out. But if you want check any videos out of me telling jokes, which I didn't really tell any jokes tonight, go to comedyfactoryri.com. It's got some videos on there. And also John Perrotta's Comedy Factory. You like that page on Facebook. And there's some newer videos on there from when I was at Fody's Tavern in New Hampshire back in January. So that's it, Mike. I appreciate you coming on with me, and we had some talking about old times. A lot of fun. We had a lot of great times. So I want to thank everybody that watched this. We appreciate it.
Yeah. And I'd like to give a plug if you're a church, an outreach ministry, men's or women, a school. Visit our website, laughterandhope.com. Also visit us on Facebook at laughterandhope.com.
All right, Mike. Hey, thanks. God bless you. Stay healthy.
I love you, Johnny P.
Everybody out there, stay healthy, and we're gonna get through this. One day at a time, we'll get through this.
That's right.
All right, buddy. Have a
love
great
you, Johnny
night.
P.
Love you, buddy.